guys, welcome back to my channel and to another What I Eat Today. Thank you so much for joining me for a fantastic day of food. So it's going to be a quick starting one today. I've actually already had my breakfast. I had porridge with a bit of a twist actually today. I had some M&S salted caramel and chocolate spread in there, which I'm not going to lie was absolutely delicious, nicer than Biscoff if you can believe it. Yeah, that was such a nice surprise. It was very high in point value, guys. As I always mention, I am on maintenance, I am not pointing, but you know, I also feel like even if you are, you do deserve a treat, especially throughout the festive season. I'm just about to make lunch, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to have a warm ciabatta, which again I absolutely love. I love warm sandwiches throughout the winter because I find that they fill me up really nicely, but they give me that warmth and they're not too heavy like having a full-on meal at lunchtime. And I crave something warm, but at the same time something quite nice and light. So I'm going to be having a ciabatta, which I'm very excited about. And for dinner, not too sure. I actually have Layla's parents' evening tonight, and even though it's at home, I wanted something quite quick. So I've defrosted some chicken. Not 100% sure what we're going to do with it yet, but we'll come to that later. But I hope you all enjoy it. This massive knit seemed very appropriate today. I'm actually wearing it with my house jeans because it's one of those days where I'm just about due on my period. I want to be comfy and I want to be warm, and it is freezing. We are waking up to frost a lot recently, which is lovely, but it's also quite cold. So I've got my big Monki knit on, which is massive and snuggly, and I love it. So I'll try and link it if I can find it. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy it. Give it a big thumbs up and let's go on with the day. I have a lovely treasure trove of goodies here. The first thing I have is some Coronation Coleslaw. I get this from Marks & Spencer's. I know a lot of you guys have said you haven't managed to find it in your local M&S. If I'm honest, there's only actually been one time when I've been in and it was sold out, but I love it. It's delicious, and it has sultanas in there, you know, lots of different mixtures in here. You have apricot in there as well with a conserve and a rich mayo, which is really, really lovely. A nice change to regular coleslaw. I also picked up some roast beef, which again I think with some cheese in a warm ciabatta is going to be delicious, and I don't think this will be that high in point value. And there is also some kind of marinade on there as well. That was from M&S. I also have some cheddar, which I just get from Tesco, and I have my ciabattas here. Again, they were from Marks & Spencer's. I love M&S food. Especially throughout December. I feel like their Christmas game is always really strong. Now again, I want to reiterate, I am not pointing, but I know a lot of you are, so I'm going to give you thereabout point value so you guys know what you can expect if you were to buy these items. So when it comes to the roast beef, again, I don't anticipate this being that high. It's 2 points per 100 grams. This whole packet is 85 grams, so even if you ate this whole packet and more, you wouldn't even be taking up 2 points, which is fantastic. So I'm going to have some of that. When it comes to my cheddar slices, these are 3 points a slice, which is, oh no, it's 2 points a slice. I'm actually quite surprised about that. 2 points a slice, which is great. When it comes to the ciabatta, they are, I'm going to guess about 5. 4! What a fantastic day so far. So 4 points for that. And if you were looking at the coleslaw, you are looking at a point value of 4 points per serving. Now a serving is quite large. It's something that you would have like in jacket potato. So quite a nice healthy serving. I would say you're probably going to have half a serving or quarter. So I would point this at around 1 to 2 points depending on what you have. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my ciabatta cut up. And again, I'm very excited about this because the flavour and texture of these is wonderful. I don't think I've included it in a What I Eat in a Day, but I do get these frequently because they are delicious. Give that a slice, and I'm going to warm it up all together. You could heat this up in the toaster and make it toasted. That would be delicious as well. If you're not a fan of coriander, you might want to choose a different meat, but M&S do a fantastic selection of cold and hot meats. Last week you may remember I included the roast beef, which was delicious. I'm not going to have all of this, although it smells incredible. I definitely could. I'm just going to give myself about that kind of serving, and then the rest of it will do for the same tomorrow. So I'm going to put that on there, and then before I pop it in the microwave for about a minute, I'm going to pop 1 whole slice of the cheese on, and then once that comes out of the microwave, I'll put a dollop of cool coleslaw on top, and I can guarantee you guys it will be delicious. And as you can see, that cheese has just started to melt, so the final flourish is going to be a nice dollop of this Coronation Coleslaw. Again, you could use garlic mayo, you could use butter, you could simply have it with just the cheese and the meat. It's completely optional. I like to give you guys a bit more of a variety, but as you can see, that coriander and garlic has now merged with the melted cheese, so it's all becoming one. It's going to be absolutely delicious, and I cannot wait to go and enjoy this with a trusty Coke Zero. I'm going to have some crisps as well alongside. These are the Tesco ones that I like. I normally have the M&S ones, the truffle oil. I've got some in the cupboard, but I wanted something that I'd already opened, and these are the Tesco's Finest mature cheddar and red onion. Again, I'm not going to weigh these out because I'm not being too strict about things. We have Layla's parents' evening tonight in about an hour's time, so we want something quite quick, and I took chicken out, so I'm going to be preparing something with chicken, and we have lactose-free yogurt in. I have veggies like potatoes and aubergine that needs eating, so it makes sense to make a chicken potato curry with aubergine, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not sad about. I love a good curry. A lot of you guys constantly asking me to share my curry recipe, so what I will do is I'm going to talk you through the spice blend as I'm making it up, because I get asked a lot of questions about my spice blend when I'm making a curry, how I do it, how do I use a jar, how do I get the flavours going and the stock and everything like that. So I'm going to be sharing that with you today, which is kind of a big scoop because, again, I get asked about it a lot. And we have a curry at least once a week, and it's just nice to experiment with textures, meats, flavours. But this is going to be my very standard, very quick chicken curry, and you can add anything you want to that, whether it be veg. You can use chicken breast like I'm choosing to do today, which is far more plate friendly, or you can opt for something with a bit more flavour like thigh. I sometimes do a mixture of both, but I do love thigh in the curry because it adds a lot of flavour and a lovely texture as well. But you could also use this recipe for lamb, keema, mince, so it's a great one to learn. And I'm also going to be talking you through rice, because I get a ton of questions how I make my rice. If I'm honest, guys, rice is a labour of love. I come from a Middle Eastern background. My mother is English fully, but my father is fully Iraqi from the Middle East. Both live here, born and bred over here, but I know my way around a rice pan, and I know how to make rice owing to the fact that throughout my life we've grown up on a combination of English and Middle Eastern food. So rice is something that takes a lot of practice, a lot of love and care, but when you nail it, it is perfection. And even though I do love a good microwavable bag of rice, you guys see me, I have them frequently, there is nothing quite like making your own rice from scratch. It's delicious, it's fluffy, it's one that can be perfumed and infused with other things to make more interesting, and I just adore it. And I did promise that I would share that with you very, very soon, so I'm going to do that today. But for now, I'm going to have a brew, see what Layla's up to and Harrison, and then we'll get on with making dinner. Now time to make the curry, and what I thought I would do is get the spice blend mixed in with the yogurt and marinate the chicken for about 15 or 20 minutes. The reason I'm doing this, and you can just do this straight into the pan on top of the cooked chicken if you would like, but the reason I've opted to do it this way is because I'm cooking with chicken breast alone, which I find personally is a very dry cut of meat. I find the breast to be quite dry and not as flavourful. So what I like to do is have the chicken marinating in the yogurt and with the spices, and what I find this does is the yogurt, the acidity of the yogurt tenderises that chicken breast and makes what would be normally a very dry cut of chicken really succulent, adds a lot of flavour and texture. So I'm going to put about a decent cup amount in here. Now I use lactose free yogurt because Andrew's lactose intolerant, but feel free to use any yogurt you would like, including fat free. That is completely fine to use. Obviously it's not going to have quite as much flavour, but when I was losing, I always used fat-free yogurt and it was never an issue. To that, I'm going to add 2 cloves, decent-sized cloves. Now, if you do have fresh ginger, that is preferred. I don't, so I'm going to be using ground. But if you do have fresh ginger, about a tablespoon worth into this mixture is absolutely fine. And then you want a teaspoon of each of these spices. I can do this by eyeball, but if you want to grab a teaspoon, feel free to do that. I just make sure that the powder in the jars is nice and smooth, I guess, not very clumpy, because then you end up adding a load that you don't want to. And the first spice I'm going to add is some turmeric. Now, not only does this give it a fantastic flavour, but it also gives it a beautiful colour. So you want about a teaspoon of that. You also want a teaspoon each of ground cumin, and ground coriander. If you have fresh coriander, you want to save that for sprinkling if you have some for the top, because that's delicious. I don't. And I also am going to be adding 1 tablespoon, this is a tablespoon guys, not a teaspoon, of good quality garam masala. Once you've done that, you want to add about a teaspoon, just over a teaspoon of fresh ginger. Ginger is fantastic in a curry and adds a nice warmth, and it's especially great at this time of year. And then finally, before I add the salt and pepper, of course the curry powder needs to go in there. And then one last sprinkling, I have some tandoori masala. Now this is completely optional, but I think it gives it a nice kind of wood fire effect to the chicken, which again is completely optional, you don't have to use it. But I'm going to mix all of this in. Once that's mixed, I'm going to add a decent glug of olive oil. This is going to make it really silky and smooth. So just add a bit of olive oil in there, probably equivalent to about a teaspoon, not too much. It just gives a really lovely silky texture, and it helps all of those spices to break down into the yogurt. And then once that's done, you want to add your chicken. So I have, as I mentioned before, chicken breast mini fillets, which I'm going to cut up with some scissors because I hate touching raw chicken. Chicken is now been diced, it is in my bowl, and I'm just going to mix it all in, make sure that every ounce is covered, and then we'll season with salt and pepper once it's cooking in the pan. So I'm going to set that aside now while I get on with chopping my vegetables, which can consist of anything that you have lying around in the fridge. Curries are a fantastic way to minimise waste. I'm going to use this aubergine simply because it needs eating. I probably needed eating a couple of days ago, but I love aubergine so much. You can use it for so many different things. People think of aubergine and the first thing that comes into their mind is baba ganoush, which is lovely. But this is one of the best vegetables for absorbing flavour. One of the most ideal vegetables for a curry, for roasting. It's one of my favourite things. I cook a lot with aubergines. I'm going to cut my onion. I'm going to dice this finely, get it in the pan with some olive oil. Let it take on loads of flavour and caramelisation, and then that is when we'll pop in the aubergine.
1, 2, 3, eat.
Let me bring you guys up to speed. So once the aubergine and the onion had cooked down, I then added the chicken, as you saw, which was already marinated in the yogurt. Once that had cooked down slightly for like 1 to 2 minutes, I then added a third of that bag of chicken stock, just over a third of that bag of ready-made chicken stock. Now you can use your own or make your own, but this is delicious and I find it a really easy way. And then I popped in a potato, as you guys saw. I put the potato in as well, and also I popped in some salt and pepper, and then finally a tablespoon of tomato puree. What I'm going to do now is let this bubble away for about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven for the rest of the cooking time, and it will stay in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes until we're ready to eat it, and it will thicken and be delicious. And in the meantime, I'll show you how I make my homemade rice. Thought I would talk you guys through it today. This is the Middle Eastern way of cooking rice. To be honest with you, it's a fail-safe way, and if you do it properly and if you keep practicing, you'll have perfect rice every time. Andrew can even make this rice, and he makes it perfectly. So all I'm going to do is add my dried rice to my bowl. This method applies with both basmati and long grain. It really doesn't matter, but you want to get the amount of rice you want to eat in the bowl. This is actually more than we need, actually, considering the fact that the kids aren't eating with us, so I'll just put a little bit back. But you want to put the rice in, and then you want to cover the rice to about 1 inch above with boiling hot water from the kettle. And then once it's sat for about 10 minutes and all the rice has absorbed that water, you want to run it under a cold tap, a very slow stream cold tap, so that all the starch runs out of the side but the rice remains in the bottom of the bowl. And again, this just removes any graininess and any taste or appearance of starch. So my rice has just been drained, and now I'm going to add some olive oil to the bottom of my pan. It needs to be a decent-ish size amount, guys, but feel free to use, you know, ghee, or feel free to use butter, feel free to use spray if you really want to. But again, this is the traditional way that we would do it. And I would say it's got about 1 inch in there, not much. So what I'm going to do is to get this oil heated, and then once it reaches warm, I'm going to pop the rice in and it will sizzle a little bit. I'll give it a stir while it's in there and coat all the rice in oil, and then I'll cover the rice about 1 centimetre above the rice with recently boiled water from the kettle, and I'll let that all come to the boil. So once this comes to the boil, I'm then going to turn my hob onto the lowest setting, put the lid on and let it simmer for about 8 minutes, and then once that's done you'll have the most pillowy, soft, fluffy rice. So guys, we've come to the end of another What I Eat in a Day. That curry was delicious. I hope you've all enjoyed seeing that, and of course seeing how I make rice as well. It was a really special one to share. So thanks for watching. Comment down below and subscribe if you're new. I'm actually uploading every day up to Christmas now, so hope you're all enjoying that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.